Chapter 801. Orissa raised her head to regard him with a smile. It's nothing. Benjamin's brow bunched up. His eyes fixated upon the unnaturalness of her smile before glancing toward his phone. When he took it over, the screen of the phone lit up. That particular message was still being actively displayed on it. Was it this that ruined her mood? Momentarily shaken up inside, Benjamin regarded her intently with his dark eyes before he deleted that message. Have you read it? He asked, point blank. Orissa turned her body over to face the other way. I didn't mean to. Casting his towel aside, Benjamin leaned in and held her tightly inside her arms. His almond-shaped eyes locked gazes with her. It doesn't mean anything. Orissa lifted her eyes and pursed her lips. Have both of you been in constant contact all this time? Benjamin fiddled with her hair while lying on his side. No, she's the one who has been trying to reach out to me these past few days. I've never responded to her, he explained. Orissa scrutinized him. Benjamin doesn't appear to be lying. It's not like he needs to either. In that case, how do you feel toward her? Benjamin stared at her with an unfathomable gaze. She's like an old friend. That somewhat improved Orissa's mood. Then, do you still fancy her? Benjamin's brows perked up, and there was a playful look in his eyes. Why don't you tell me whether I should? When Orissa reacted by turning her back to him, Benjamin pulled himself close and kissed her behind the ear. You know that I only have feelings for you. Orissa's heart started throbbing as her cheeks flushed hotly. She certainly felt him. In response, she pulled the blanket over her face. The laughter from the man's baritone voice sent her body temperature soaring. Stop imagining things, Orissa, and don't let other people affect your emotions that easily, all right? Benjamin petted her head over the blanket. Come on out. Don't you find it stuffy in there? Orissa smiled and pressed him further. Do you really feel nothing for her? Benjamin exhaled in exasperation. Back then, with everyone else's constant nudging, I was indeed a little tempted to date her. My thinking at the time was that I might as well find someone who I personally liked for myself rather than leave things to my dad. She was one of the few among my acquaintances who I got on quite well with, but Dad didn't seem to like her very much. In fact, he was vehemently opposed to us getting together. Everyone must have misunderstood me because I took her side that time. Perhaps that's why my old man is still convinced that I am into her, even till now. Orissa pulled the blanket down slightly and looked at him expectantly. Does that mean that you were never attracted to her? Benjamin peered down at her. Are you going to come out? That made Orissa a little self-conscious. You still haven't answered my question yet. Benjamin leaned in and closed the distance between them further. Do you still doubt me after everything I've told you, Orissa? Are you daft? That had Orissa seething. You're the one who's being daft. Was it even necessary to insult me? Benjamin's thin lips lifted into a smirk as he pinched her cheek. From where would I find the time to get involved with someone else? I'm way too busy making money. Could he be speaking the truth? As reluctant as Orissa was to simply take his words at face value, there was no understating the joy she felt inside. Have you really never fancied anyone else previously? Whoever said that? I most certainly did. Benjamin reacted in dismay. He coughed and cleared his throat self-consciously when he saw that despondent expression returning to Orissa's face. Then, he shot her an amused look. What's bugging you now? So, that means you really are interested in someone else. Orissa side-eyed him. If she isn't Donna or Rosetta, who else could that woman be? Benjamin tilted her chin up. Didn't I tell you not to overthink things? Why won't you just listen? Orissa merely stared at him. You should have explained things clearly if you wanted that. Having figured out what was going through her mind from the look in her eyes, Benjamin sighed. He then broke off eye contact as he felt somewhat ill at ease. It happened back when I was a kid. Does that count too? Orissa blinked. When he was a kid. She was amused by the blush she vaguely saw on the man's handsome face but dared not laugh aloud. How little were you? Benjamin's eyes darted around. I was just a few years old. And how old was the girl you took a liking to? Benjamin appeared contemplative. A year old, or maybe several months old. Orissa was utterly speechless. Chapter 802. Unable to help herself, Orissa buried her face under the blanket as she sought to suppress her mounting hysterics. The brows of the hapless Benjamin creased up ever so tautly at the sight of how vigorously her shoulders were shaking. That was a long time ago, so I wouldn't even know what that girl looks like now. Does that still bother you? Under the impression that she was upset, he nervously tried to comfort her. There, Benjamin stroked her head. When Orissa poked her head out, her eyes were shining with amusement. The stunned expression that flashed across Benjamin's suave face was immediately supplanted by a discomfited look. To think that while I thought she was sad, this woman was actually laughing at me. Chuckling, Orissa then said in a soft voice, "Did you mistake a childhood crush for love?" Benjamin glared at her before he turned over to lie down. Sensing the man's mild annoyance, she tried hard to restrain herself. The notion of Benjamin's first love occurring when he was so little came to her as a massive surprise. A loving feeling roused within her as she approached and wrapped her hands around the man's arm. "I really didn't mean to laugh at you, so don't be mad. I was just, go ahead and laugh if you want to," Benjamin growled. Unable to contain herself, Orissa burst into a guffaw once more. "I'm so sorry." Stealing a glance at the way Benjamin pursed his lips had her again tickled. "Haven't you seen each other again after you both grew up?" Benjamin's eyes darkened, albeit briefly. She hasn't returned to Delmore after she left. It occurred to Orissa that he still cared a lot for that girl. "Have you tried to find her?" "We lost contact a long time ago, so I wasn't able to. I wonder where that brat could be right now." Not hearing a response from her, Benjamin turned to look at her. "She was only like a little sister to me." The man's explanation left little for Orissa to nitpick on. "I used to have a childhood friend too. An older boy whose company I really enjoyed having while I was little, but we also haven't been in contact since." Benjamin frowned. "Do you still think of him?" Eyeing the slightly jealous man, Orissa felt gleeful inside. "Those were fun times, so of course I would. One would be bound to remember the delightful days of childhood for life." Mildly peeved, Benjamin took a hold of her chin and leaned in with the intention of kissing her, but the sight of her dry and chapped lips caused him to pause. "What a bummer." Orissa watched in astonishment as he abruptly turned and got off the bed. "Where are you going?" "To get some cream." Unable to find any inside the room, Benjamin had no recourse but to leave the room and head downstairs. While Orissa lay in bed staring at the delightful chandelier that hung overhead, she could not resist. Smiling, she hugged the pillow that belonged to a certain individual while she giggled happily like a lovelorn adolescent. Seeing the lovely smile on her face when he came in caused heat to enter Benjamin's eyes. Hastily, Orissa cast his pillow aside and rescinded the soppy grin that hung on her lips, and her eyes darted away in embarrassment. The corner of Benjamin's lips lifted slightly. "You may continue to hug my pillow." Orissa blushed. "Would you let me hug you, Graham?" Like a swirling whirlpool, Benjamin's dark eyes had the irresistible ability to pull one in and leave one without means of escape. As the mood grew amorous, Orissa's heartbeat, too, started to fall into disarray. "You want a hug, huh?" Permeating the man's husky inflection was a certain element of suggestiveness. Orissa's cheeks ran hot. When she saw the cream in the man's hand, she took the opportunity to change the subject. "Are you going to help apply that to me? Then, hurry it up and do it." She then puckered her lips, oblivious of how alluring that gesture was to the man. Benjamin forewent the cream and leaned in to kiss her directly. Once he had tasted her sweetness, he could no longer hold back and proceeded to kiss her even more deeply. Orissa's heart was racing. She was lost in the moment, her will totally surrendered to the man's passion. Their necking only grew more fervent, making it harder and harder for them to rein themselves in. Benjamin, however, was able to get himself under control. While he took in her flushed cheeks intently, she had yet to recover her composure. Her lips were ruddy from the blood that seared beneath them. Her lovely mouth was open as she panted, and the pinkness of her tongue within was made fleetingly visible. Benjamin's eyes darkened while the flames of arousal burned in them. His willpower crumbled in an instant. Leaning in to capture her lips once more, he kissed her with more ardor than he had before. A lingering sensuality filled the air inside the room for the rest of the night. Chapter 803. Benjamin only stopped ravishing her when it was close to morning. Having been made to scream till her voice almost went hoarse, Orissa fell into a sound slumber right after. After clearing up the mess inside the room, Benjamin took a shower to freshen up. Then, he brought out a towel which he used to wipe her body down before tucking her in. Once these tasks were done, he went on to apply the cream to her lips. The wounds on the corner of her lips had reopened, and they were a ghastly sight to behold. Seeing how exhausted she was made Benjamin's heart ache a little. He leaned in to plant a peck on her forehead before he snuggled up to her to sleep. Come the next day, Orissa felt sore all over. As though she had been run over by a truck, the slightest of movements was sufficient to make her wince. Recalling what transpired the night before caused her eyes to widen. Her heart pounded faster, and she blushed all the way down to her neck. I really slept with Benjamin last night. When she turned to look at the spot next to her on the bed but found that Benjamin was no longer there, she exhaled in relief. Propping herself upright on the bed, Orissa started cussing at the man. Did he really have to go at me that hard? Fucking hell, I almost broke my back last night. Flashes of recollection that were not safe for work seeped into her consciousness and sent warmth rushing to her cheeks. Orissa had to raise her hands to pat her face to calm herself. Got to stop thinking about it. She strove to settle her emotions, but as soon as she did, her phone started to blare and vibrate. Her body ached so much that she was left gasping when she turned around to reach for her phone. Upon realizing that the call came from her boss, she composed herself before she answered. What took you so long to pick up? Weren't you awake? The voice that came through the other end of the phone was tinged with a sliver of adoration. I only just woke up. Orissa then quietly snorted inside her mind. Jerk. You don't have to come into the office today. Stay in to rest up. I've gotten Edwin to make some soup for you. Have some, then go back to sleep. While Benjamin's concerned voice sounded in her ear, Orissa massaged her hips. She genuinely did not want to head to the office, as never mind work, she was already struggling to get out of bed as it was. Whoever said that having sex is the most beautiful thing in the world? It's more like torture than anything else. Are you hurting physically? Benjamin asked in concern. Orissa blinked and then bellowed, what do you think? That elicited a chuckle from Benjamin. Stay in bed. I'll have Edwin bring the food up to you. Eat up before you rest. Benjamin told her. I can get downstairs myself. Before she finished, the man had already hung up on her. A quick check revealed that it was already almost 10. That had her smacking her forehead. Already, she realized how awkward it could get should Edwin see her in the state she was in. After lying around for a while more, Orissa shot up so quickly that she nearly tumbled off the bed. She then sat down to steady herself before she made her way toward the bathroom. Though the distance was not that far, it felt like it took her eons to arrive. Then, her phone started buzzing again. Holding onto the frame of the bathroom door for support, Orissa thought the phone near the bed to be completely beyond her reach. Forget it. I'll call back later. She proceeded to enter the bathroom to take a hot bath. Then came a knocking at the door that had her all jittery. Are you up already, Mrs. Graham? Mr. Graham has instructed me to send the food up to you. Came Edwin's voice from beyond the door. Would you mind leaving it outside the door? Orissa hastily replied. She was worried that Edwin might walk in on the messy bed she had yet to sort out. Understood, Mrs. Graham. Do remember to eat it. Edwin shouted. Okay. After yelling back, she stretched herself out inside the bathtub and continued her soaking. Being surrounded by the hot water brought her much relief. Just then, her phone rang again, but Orissa could not be bothered to move. Outside, her phone had barely stopped ringing before the phone inside the bathroom picked up where the former left off. Orissa paused before she hurried to answer. Did you fall asleep again? Came Benjamin's voice. Orissa exhaled. No, I didn't. Then why didn't you pick up? After he was done complaining, Benjamin instructed her, go and take a hot bath if you feel terrible. It'll make you feel much better. If that still doesn't help, I could have a doctor come over to check on you. Chapter 804. Orissa's face ran red to the ears as the mention of a doctor by Benjamin reminded her of Sean. No, I don't need to see a doctor. She promptly declined. "I need you to work with me here because I can't get away right now," said Benjamin in his deep voice. He had left the house for an early meeting and had yet to wrap things up on that front. He even had to get Edwin to help drop the children off at school. "I've already taken a bath and am feeling much better already. Seriously, you don't have to send the doctor." Orissa was quite self-conscious about the idea of being examined by a doctor, even if she was another woman. Much less could be said of a male doctor who she knew personally, as she found that to be an extremely unsettling proposition. She presumed that it was Sean who would be sent to her, thus she felt the need to reiterate her stance. "Soak for a little longer, and add a few drops of essential oil," Benjamin recommended. "Okay." Looking around, Orissa then added a couple of drops of essential oil from a bottle she managed to find. "Stay in there for half an hour, get some food in you when you come out, and go to sleep," Benjamin added. "Got it," she answered in the affirmative. "You should get back to it." "Yeah," Benjamin replied before he hung up. Pausing for a quick check, Orissa stood up from the bath water when the time was almost up. Her condition was much improved compared to when she had just awoken. She slipped into her bathrobe, brushed her teeth, and washed her face before she stepped out of the bathroom. Heading to the door, she opened it to retrieve the food Edwin had left outside. Noticing how messy the sheets were, she then hastened to gather them up and had them replaced with a fresh set. Once she had the room tidied up, she opened the windows to let the sun into the room. That helped make things cozier for her. Then, she plopped herself down on the couch. Judging from the food Edwin prepared for her, it occurred to her that it was aimed at being nutritious over everything else. Twitching her lips, she then proceeded to tuck into the pumpkin soup. She had just about finished it when Edwin came upstairs with the doctor in tow. "Mrs. Graham." Orissa went quickly to the door when Edwin knocked and was momentarily stunned when she noticed the woman beside him. "Who is this, Edwin?" "This is Dr. Leanne Leal. She has come here at Mr. Graham's request, so please allow her to examine you." "Oh," Orissa replied, deeply embarrassed. "I'm perfectly fine, so there's really no need for that. Do let me have a look at you, Mrs. Graham. If nothing else, it would help set Mr. Graham's mind at ease. Besides, I wouldn't know how to answer him otherwise." As Leanne carried herself professionally and harbored no ulterior motives, Orissa could only regard her apologetically. "I still think that it isn't necessary. How awkward it is to be looked at by a doctor. I think we probably should, Mrs. Graham, just to be on the safe side. Please do a thorough job of it, Dr. Leal. I'll be downstairs should you need anything." Being aware that Orissa was self-conscious, Edwin promptly took his leave. Leanne's entrance made Orissa very uncomfortable indeed. "There's nothing you need to worry about, Mrs. Graham. Just take it as a simple gynecological checkup. Would you mind lying down and removing your pants first?" Despite being as embarrassed as she was, Orissa felt obliged to play along after witnessing the doctor's degree of professionalism and the medical instruments the latter had already brought out. Her face was as red as a lobster throughout the entire process, and she was unable to look the doctor straight in the eye. "We're done. You may get dressed now." Leanne gathered up her things, leaving behind only a jar of cream. "Everything is fine in there, Mrs. Graham, but there is some tearing on the outside. Just apply this cream several times each day. It should be able to help," Leanne advised. "Understood. Thank you, Dr. Leal." The blushing Orissa nodded. Leanne was a middle-aged woman. Noting Orissa's embarrassment, she chuckled softly. "It's quite rare for Mr. Graham to be this concerned for any particular woman, so I'm glad that we were finally able to meet in person today." Orissa lifted her head to regard her. Smiling, Leanne added, "Benjamin previously asked me to recommend some traditional medication. Have you been sticking to the prescribed regimen lately?" "I have," replied Orissa sheepishly. In actuality, she had skipped out on them for the past few days while she was out looking for her children and had only resumed when she returned. "Remember to take them with regularity. We'll do a checkup once the current course of treatment has been completed. Then, I'll make the necessary adjustments for you accordingly." Leanne packed her things and got up to leave. "Do practice safe sex, and take care while you are still on your meds." Orissa could really use a hole to bury herself in. Benjamin didn't use any condoms last night, but surely, I won't end up pregnant, will I? Chapter 805. According to the doctor she consulted previously, it would be difficult for her to conceive again given her situation, so she assumed that that would not be the case. Thank you, Dr. Leal. She then got up to see Leanne off. Don't worry about me, I can make my own way out. Take care to rest, and do have something to eat before that. Also, remember to apply the cream. Okay, Orissa nodded. It was only after Leanne went downstairs that she returned to her room to resume eating, after which she lay down to rest on the bed. Initially, she did not think herself tired. In the end, though, she wound up fast asleep. She was not sure how much time had transpired before she felt someone touching her. As soon as Orissa roused and saw what Benjamin was doing, she became self-conscious and hastily pulled the blanket over to cover herself. You. Benjamin lifted his eyes to regard her. His lips curled up when he saw her face turn as red as a beetroot. What is there for you to be embarrassed about? It's not as though I have never seen you before. That caused Orissa to blush even harder. She shot a flustered look at him before she buried her face inside the blanket. Benjamin Graham, you pervert. Her shyness only made Benjamin chuckle as he pulled aside the blanket, and his voice was gentle and teeming with affection. Come on, now, I'm just going to help put this cream on. It's going to make things all better. It's fine, I can do this myself. Orissa felt like she desperately needed to go into hiding somewhere. Her refusal elicited a subtle sigh from Benjamin. Oh, fine, you do it yourself then. Orissa was being driven insane at the man's obliviousness toward the extent of her embarrassment. Do it now, or I'll do it for you. He threatened. She turned and poked her eyes out to stare at the man. Benjamin pretended to move in closer, prompting Orissa to scurry off to the side. I'll do it myself, so just turn around and look away. Staring at her for a moment, Benjamin nonetheless complied and did as asked. Grabbing the jar, Orissa swiftly applied the cream to her wounds. Following that, she got dressed and stood up to go to the bathroom. Owing to the manner her unhealed body was still smarting, her movements were a little stiff when she walked. A pair of arms suddenly reached out from behind her and swept her up, giving Orissa quite the fright. I'll carry you in there. Benjamin peered down at her. Red to the ears, Orissa turned away to avoid his gaze while Benjamin's lips curled up slightly. After carrying her into the bathroom, he placed her down on a chair. Orissa stood to her feet hastily to wash her hands, but she cast a glance in Benjamin's direction when she saw that he was still hanging around. Are you going to wash your hands? As she eyed the man's hands, their well-defined and slender form brought a flush to her cheeks, which drove her to avert her gaze while banishing the errant thoughts from her mind. Regarding her briefly, Benjamin then bent over to wash his own hands. Are you still hurting? Not anymore. Orissa was a little miffed at him for sending the doctor over to check on her at home. Why kick up such a fuss and call the doctor in over such a minor issue? Her murmuring caused Benjamin to furrow his brows, and he raised a hand to pinch her cheeks. Wouldn't hurt to err on the side of caution. Swatting away his hand, Orissa then wiped the water from her face. Why were you so careless last night? Benjamin's gaze was unfathomable. I'll be more careful next time. Orissa started to blush again. Who said that he abstains from women? This man is practically a lecher. Benjamin stopped teasing her and ruffled her hair instead. Get washed up. We have to go downstairs for lunch. Orissa watched the man walk out. She then hurried to wash her face and also relieve herself before exiting. Let's go. Benjamin extended a hand to motion for her to go over. Let me get changed first. Orissa turned the other way to head toward the wardrobe. Benjamin stuck both hands in his pocket. There's no need for that since we're not headed out. You are going to come straight back up to rest after the meal. But I want to visit Grandaunt at the hospital. Having slept through the entire morning, Orissa did not want to be reduced to a sloth. If they were to continue staying in bed, she reckoned that others would likely catch on to what they were doing last night. Sean is over there taking care of Grandaunt, so there's nothing for you to be concerned about. Benjamin had followed her over and was now leaning against the door, his gaze fixated upon her. Retrieving a set of athleisure wear, Orissa then turned to give him a heads up. I'm going to get changed. The corner of Benjamin's lips curled up as though he had something to say, but Orissa hastily raised a hand to stop him. Not another word from you. Scoot. Chapter 806. Benjamin raised a brow before he quietly backed away. Benjamin raised a brow before he quietly backed away. Orissa shut the door to get changed quickly before she went out. Seated on the couch with his legs crossed in a leisurely manner, Benjamin cut an unbelievably dashing figure. The moment she stepped out, his eyes locked upon her form. Orissa swiftly met his gaze. I'm ready. Benjamin got up to approach and swept her into his embrace with one hand. As she was pressed up against his body, Orissa's heart rate picked up as she took in that familiar scent from the man's body. What are you doing? Benjamin cupped her face and gently rubbed her cheeks with his thumbs in earnest, causing Orissa's heart to pound against her ribcage. I'll apply the cream for you after lunch. Hearing the man's words made her cheeks flush red. Haven't I already done just that? An amused glint entered his eyes as he caressed her lips. I was referring to up here. With her face feeling as hot as the sun, Orissa pushed him away and turned to walk toward the outside. Being in a good mood, he caught up with her and held her hand while they made their way downstairs. Edwin smiled broadly when he saw them descend the steps, hands intertwined. Lunch is ready, Mr. and Mrs. Graham. Good. You may start serving it. Benjamin nodded and led Orissa over while the smiling Edwin hurried along to make preparations. Orissa stared at the man beside her. How long have you been back? Only for a while before you woke up. Benjamin glanced over at her. Oh. Not wanting to meet his gaze, Orissa blinked and looked elsewhere. Benjamin's brows quirked up. He led her to the dining room and pulled out her chair for her before he sat himself down at the head of the table. Edwin proceeded to serve them some soup. Do help yourself to more, Mrs. Graham. I will. Thank you, Edwin, Orissa replied warmly. Benjamin turned to speak to Edwin. Is her medication ready? Yes, it is. Edwin nodded in affirmation. And after acknowledging him, Benjamin waved him away. Orissa looked toward Benjamin quizzically. My medication. Yeah. Benjamin took one look at her. Remember to take it after the meal. Orissa regarded Benjamin gratefully. Dr. Leal told me that it was her you went to for the prescription. For a moment, I almost thought that you had gotten it from Dr. Bailey, so thank you. Big mouth. Benjamin quietly snorted at Leanne in castigation. Initially, I did go to Sean, but later I referred to Dr. Leal because she was more experienced in gynecology. Orissa nodded, then asked, how long more do I have to continue drinking it? Benjamin reminded her in earnest after he observed how much she dreaded taking medication. You'll have to keep up the regimen until your body recovers and is healthy again. All of a sudden, Orissa no longer found the food to be all that appealing. Well, eat up, urged Benjamin while he kept a watchful eye on her. Orissa pursed her lips. The thought of being on medication kind of made me lose my appetite. That elicited a frown from Benjamin. How would you know whether the soup is tasty or not without first trying it? Chuckling, she then lowered her head to sample the soup. Edwin's cooking is the best. I'll surely end up getting fat before too long if this were to keep up. As Benjamin watched her, he, too, started to tuck in. He saw to it that she had 2 servings of soup and heaped vegetables on her plate during the course of the meal. Are the kids in school already? Benjamin nodded. Yes, I had to head into the office, so I got Edwin to drive them there this morning. Orissa focused her attention on Benjamin. At what time did you go to the office? Around 6. Orissa was astonished because that meant that he could not have gotten much sleep in between. Stealing a glance at the man, she was rather impressed by how alert and energetic he still looked. That made her feel a little envious. How could men and women be so different? While her waist and back remained sore, he appeared to be alert and bursting with energy. What are you looking at me for? Get back to eating. Benjamin glared at her. Chapter 807. Orissa averted her gaze and focused on having her meal. A short while later, she could not help looking at him again. Benjamin glanced at her, stunning her. Why does he always catch me staring at him? Aren't you busy at the office? She asked. I am busy. I'm returning to the office after lunch, he replied. Orissa shot a glance at him. Did he deliberately come home to keep me company for lunch? Oh, she responded in a diminished voice. He looked at her. You don't want me to go. That's not what I'm thinking. Benjamin arched his brow and said teasingly, then why did you give such a half-hearted response? The corner of Orissa's mouth twitched. I was merely answering him. I did not mean anything by that. His eyes lingered on her for a few more seconds, and he fell silent afterward. After finishing their meal, Benjamin monitored Orissa as she took her medicine. She bore her eyes into him. Hurry up and go to work. I can't drink this while I'm still full. I'll wait for the medicine to cool down a little before I drink it. He regarded her with a significant look, then shifted his gaze to the potted plant beside them. If you were drinking the medicine properly, the plants in the house would not have withered. She glanced at the potted plant and cleared her throat. What do I have to do with your withering plants? Benjamin scoffed at her reluctance to admit her doings. Do you need me to show you the surveillance footage? Go ahead. Orissa leaned back in her chair, completely unfazed. He fixed his piercing gaze on her and narrowed his eyes. Do you think I'll have no way to deal with you after you tampered with the surveillance footage? Orissa pursed her lips in silence. Benjamin snorted. Is that it? You don't have anything else to say? She swept her eyes across him. What should I say? Noticing the wound on the corner of her mouth had been aggravated, he got up to bring the first aid kit over. Hurry up and go to work. I'll drink the medicine on my own later. Sit a little closer. Let me apply medication to your wounded lips. He gestured to her. Orissa glanced at him and moved her chair to his side. He lifted her chin and disinfected her wound before applying the medication. This injury to the corner of your mouth has lasted a few days. Benjamin examined her injury and frowned. His heart ached at that sight. Orissa felt contented. This is all your fault. The wound was close to recovery, but you. He gazed at her and curled his lips. I am indeed to blame. In response, she glared at him. After gently helping her apply the medication, he reminded her, remember, don't lick the wound. Okay, she nodded. Drink the medicine. The corners of Orissa's mouth twitched. She touched the bowl and felt that it was still hot. I can't drink this yet. Benjamin went to wash his hands. After he exited the washroom, he stirred the bowl of medicine and blew on it to cool the soup. Orissa was touched by his thoughtfulness. Let me feed you. He delivered the spoon to her mouth, but she turned away. Benjamin knitted his brows. He stared at her and said, why are you dodging? I need to drink it all in one gulp so I won't be disgusted by the taste. Orissa glanced at the bowl of black medicinal soup and recalled the things Edwin mentioned. Benjamin, can you ask the doctor to change this medicine to the previous version? This current version with a mixed sweet and bitter taste is even more revolting. He eyed her for some time before nodding. Sure, but didn't the previous medicine taste more bitter? It was bitter. However, this current medicine with a mixed flavor is worse. I cannot stand this at all. Orissa's scalp tingled even as she caught a whiff of the medicine's smell. Benjamin blew on the soup for some time and handed the bowl to her when the medicine was no longer scalding. Then, she gulped it all down in one go. Just as she began feeling nauseous, he placed a few pieces of sweets into her mouth, reducing her discomfort and making her feel significantly better. Do you feel better now? He raised his hand to wipe off the residue at the corner of her mouth. Yes. Orissa leaned away and wiped her mouth on her own. You should hurry up and go to work. All right. Benjamin rose to his feet and patted her head. Rest well at home and don't go to the hospital today. Accompany me to attend a banquet tonight. Someone will send over the gown later in the afternoon. What banquet? Orissa asked. However, Benjamin had already strode ahead without answering her. Chapter 808. Orissa did not feel it appropriate to go to the hospital since Benjamin had already informed her in advance of the banquet, so she went upstairs to get some rest. She did not realize the stylist's arrival until Edwin woke her up. She hurriedly took a shower before the stylist pampered her with all kinds of spa treatments. Then, the stylist proceeded to do Orissa's hair. Orissa hastily answered the phone when her children contacted her. Mommy, we are going to great-grandaunt's place now. Enjoy your date with Daddy, Gavin said to her. She was rendered momentarily speechless. I'm attending a banquet with your daddy. We are not going on a date. Hee hee. That's the same, Mommy. Jasper guffawed. Go out and have fun, Mommy. We'll keep great-grandaunt company. Zachary's voice sounded. Okay, all right. Please don't run around when you all are there, and be sure to spend some quality time with your great-grandaunt, Marissa reminded the kids before hanging up the call. After that, she concentrated on letting the stylist do her makeup. The preening process took 2 hours to complete. She picked up the pink gown placed neatly on the bed and compared the size to her figure before putting it on. The zip on the back of the gown was slightly out of her reach. She stretched her hand to pull the zipper, but her attempts were unfruitful. Suddenly, someone grasped the zipper and helped her pull it up. Marissa turned around in shock. Then, she grinned when she saw Benjamin had returned. You're back. He stared intently at her gorgeous face and replied in an undertone, yes. Marissa blinked at him. I'm ready. You should get changed. Benjamin wrapped his arms around her waist. There's no hurry. Sensing his piercing gaze fixed on her, she flushed. What banquet are we attending? He regarded her with an intense look as he thought she appeared extraordinarily beautiful when wearing makeup. A wedding banquet. He leaned in to kiss her. Marissa dodged the kiss and stared at him in surprise. A wedding banquet. Benjamin smiled faintly and teased her. It's not our wedding banquet. She glared at him. I know that. Who would get married in a pink gown? One of my friends is getting married. Again, he moved closer to her, grabbed the back of her head, and kissed her passionately. Benjamin lost himself in the moment as he took deep inhales of Marissa's captivating scent. He finally let go of her when she began gasping for air. Marissa protested in embarrassment, my lipstick. He pinched her face and uttered with his deep and seductive voice, I'll help you reapply the lipstick later. His response made her blush even more. Benjamin turned on his heels and went to take a shower. Marissa sat on the bed while waiting for him. Using the opportunity, she called Mary and chatted with the latter for some time before hanging up the phone. Seeing that Benjamin had yet to come out from the bathroom, she tried contacting Bradley, but the call was not connected. Then, she directly called Rick. Marissa became even more baffled when Rick informed her that Bradley was still in Rudisei Village. Mr. Griffin, I heard Tim mention he used to work for a living in the village. What are his usual income sources, and how is his living condition with my grandaunt Mary? Marissa seized the opportunity to sound Rick out. When Benjamin exited the bathroom, he saw her talking on the phone with Rick. Benjamin shouted, Marissa, help me select a necktie. She grunted in response and went to choose the tie while continuing to engage in the phone call. Tim did farm work most of the time. The villagers would summon him and pay him to do odd jobs such as planting rice seedlings, farming, and weeding, Rick replied. Marissa's eyes gleamed. She thought those jobs were still acceptable. I heard he carried a basket and traveled up the hill with the other children at the village. What did they do there? Hurry up, Marissa, Benjamin urged. I suppose they went to the hill to forage mushrooms. Some people are looking to purchase these mushrooms. I think they also searched for medicinal herbs on the hill. She let out a sigh of relief after listening to Rick. Thank you, Mr. Griffin. I have some things to attend to, so I'll hang up now. With that, she quickly hung up the phone and walked out of the dressing room with Benjamin's necktie. Chapter 809. What kind of tie is that? Benjamin glanced at the tie she was holding, which obviously didn't match his suit. After breaking out into a sheepish smile, she hurried back in to look for a different one. Will this do? After giving it a quick look, Benjamin bent forward in satisfaction. Help me put it on. Marissa's eyes glazed over slightly when she caught sight of how dashing he looked. Noticing the look in her eyes, Benjamin allowed his lips to curl up slightly. Are you satisfied? Marissa snorted. Can I return it to the manufacturer if I'm not? Benjamin cocked a brow. Which part of me are you dissatisfied with? After scrutinizing him quickly, Marissa teased, all of you. Benjamin, amidst an exasperated snort, straightened his clothes and carried her bag for her. Let's go. Grunting in acknowledgement, Marissa followed him from behind. Benjamin, arm raised, gestured for her to take it, to which the smiling Marissa complied. Turning to look at her, Benjamin asked with concern, "Are you feeling better?" "Yes, much better," Marissa replied with flushed cheeks. Staring at her, Benjamin inquired firmly, "Did you apply the medication?" His words utterly embarrassed Marissa. Can he stop talking about it? Yes. Benjamin's eyes darkened as he reminded, "Remember to apply it often so that you can recover quickly." Marissa nodded. "I will." After leading her into the car, they rushed to the banquet venue. "Do you not need to prepare a gift?" Marissa looked at him. "Edwin has taken care of it." Marissa acknowledged his answer with a nod. "That's good." Nevertheless, she was still shocked over the fact that Benjamin was taking her to his friend's wedding all of a sudden. When she glanced at him, he returned her look with an intent gaze. "What do you want to say? Do I know your friend?" "No." Smirking, he reassured her, "We're attending a wedding banquet, that's all. You don't have to feel so nervous." "I know." Marissa smiled in response, for it was well within her capabilities to feast. Upon arriving at their destination, Benjamin helped her out after alighting first. "Be careful." The attentive Benjamin shielded her head from the car door and even bent forward to adjust her dress train on her behalf. Marissa glanced at him. "Thank you." When he raised his arm again, Marissa swiftly wrapped her arms around it. "Once we're inside, stay close to me," Benjamin whispered into her ear after leaning closer. "The whole time, until we're home." "All right," Marissa responded with a slight quirk of her lips. As he stared at her luscious lips, Benjamin's eyes darkened. "It's time to go in," Marissa reminded him when she began to feel awkward at his staring. It was then that Benjamin regained his senses and strode inside. "Benjamin, Marissa." At that moment, someone yelled at them from behind. Stopping in their tracks to turn around, both of them saw Kingsley, Sean, and Jonathan. The sight of them stunned Marissa. "They're here too." "Hey, Benjamin, why didn't you tell us that you were coming?" Scrutinizing both of them, Kingsley whistled in awe the moment he saw Marissa. Only when he noticed Benjamin's threatening glare did Kingsley retract his gaze and smile sheepishly at them. Sean and Jonathan, too, greeted Marissa. "Marissa." She eked out an awkward smile. "Nice to see all of you here. We're close to the groom, Aaron Adams. That's why we're all here to attend his wedding. In fact, Sean and I joined the groom's entourage this morning," Kingsley explained with a grin. His words stunned Marissa. "The Adams family. Come on, let's head inside," Kingsley urged. "Aaron will be delighted to know that Benjamin is here." "Let's go," Benjamin remarked before leading her in. Meanwhile, Kingsley, Sean, and Jonathan exchanged worried glances with each other. "Let's go in first." Jonathan, the calmest among the three, ushered them in with a look. Chapter 810. When Benjamin arrived at the entrance with Marissa in tow, members of the Adams family came up to receive them. "Benjamin, you're here. Quick, come in." Aaron's parents gave them a warm welcome. "Aaron was just here a moment ago." "Mr. Adams, Mrs. Adams," Benjamin greeted with a nod. Aaron's parents smiled as they took a good look at him. "Rosetta's back too." Benjamin nodded in acknowledgement. "Let's head in then." A glint flashed across Marissa's eyes. Rosetta Adams. The Adams family. Is someone in Rosetta's family getting married? At the sight of Marissa, the smile on the Adamses' faces froze. "Please, be my guest. Mr. Adams, Mrs. Adams." After Kingsley and the others greeted the Adamses in turn, they quickly followed Benjamin and Marissa inside. "Benjamin, your seat is at the main table," Kingsley informed. "I'm fine with sitting with you guys. Lead the way." Benjamin gave Kingsley a look that the latter quickly understood. "Right this way." Walking behind Benjamin, Marissa scanned the surroundings. The atmosphere was lively, and there were plenty of guests around. Those who knew Benjamin would come over and exchange pleasantries. Amidst it all, Marissa would just stand by his side and smile. Fortunately, Benjamin would quickly walk away once he had returned their greetings. "Are you all right?" Benjamin checked in on her. Marissa nodded. "Benjamin." All of a sudden, a gentle voice rang out, followed by a woman throwing herself into Benjamin's arms. Sensing her approach, the alert Benjamin dodged her and stepped to the side with Marissa in his arms. Grasping at thin air, Rosetta stumbled and almost fell to the ground. She then gave Benjamin a sad look. "Benjamin, please be more careful, Miss Adams." As Benjamin remained expressionless, an awkward look flashed across Rosetta's face. "Benjamin, I'm back." Benjamin threw her an indifferent glance. "I know." Subsequently, he turned toward Orissa, worried that she would let her imagination run wild. "Let's go over there." Retracting her gaze from Rosetta, Orissa followed Benjamin to their seats. Unbeknownst to her, Rosetta was seething at her with her fists tightly clenched. "Benjamin actually brought a woman to my brother's wedding despite knowing that I'll be back. He must be doing it just to spite me." Amidst her darkening gaze, the anger and indignance within her caused her expression to turn stony. "Rosetta, you're back," Kingsley greeted cheerfully. Shifting her gaze back to the group, Rosetta exclaimed, "Why did you only come over now?" "We went home for a siesta," Sean responded plainly. During the lull after picking up the bride with Aaron, they had gone back to rest. "Please, have a seat. My brother is probably upstairs." Rosetta ushered them over. "We'll be fine. You don't have to take us. Mr. and Mrs. Adams probably need your help to entertain the guests." Kingsley declined politely before signaling Sean and Jonathan to go ahead. Rosetta responded with a cordial nod. "All right then, I'll go entertain the other guests. You guys go right in as the wedding is about to start." With that, Kingsley, Sean, and Jonathan joined Benjamin's table. Meanwhile, Kingsley, noticing that there were 5 empty seats left, quickly filled them up with a few familiar faces. Subsequently, everyone chatted idly while waiting for the ceremony to begin. Even though Benjamin's presence discouraged the crowd from speaking freely, Kingsley introduced Orissa in order to liven up the atmosphere. "This is Orissa, Benjamin's woman." His words gave everyone a shock as they turned to scrutinize her. The smiling Orissa then greeted them with a nod. After all, she didn't know any of them. "Have some water." Benjamin put a glass of water down in front of her, to which she nodded at him in thanks. As she lifted her glass to take a sip, she snuck a glance at him. "Did he bring me here on purpose to declare my status to Rosetta?"